It was 4, it's now 3. It's going to be 3 down to 2.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Simon, in the last few minutes, and I'm just checking this, we're getting information here that the final bidders for Chelsea have now been told. So when they get to 2, they've now been told to guarantee that their controlling shareholders will not sell any of their stakes in the club until at least 2032. In a move that's designed to ensure continuity under the next ownership.
Who's telling them this?
How can that be legal?
I mean, I hope they keep on putting these conditions in place. I really do. I hope the Chelsea pitch owners make it impossible to do anything in the stadium. I hope that all these people that think that people are going to buy a club for £2.5 billion are going to be restricted by all these covenants just because they're philanthropic and they want to be. They can't sell their interest in this business for 10 years. I mean, look, there's one thing is to make sure that you don't repeat the mistakes of the past. And the mistake of the past wasn't Roman Abramovich's commitment to the club. It was Roman Abramovich's association and the genesis of his money, which was everyone knew when they took it in the first place.
Yeah.
But no one knew what it was going to be, this ridiculous, awful situation in Ukraine.
Yeah.
So here we are now saying the lessons of the past now need to be visited on the present, which is basically anyone that buys a football club, the only people that can make any money out of football clubs, players, agents and managers. If anybody else buys an interest in a football club, you can't have any real opportunity to make any money because that would be an affront to the ownership model. And also, we want to make sure that the pitch side of things retains, and we want to have golden shares for the fans. Look, be careful here, because you're going to put people in a situation where it makes this deal more and more difficult to do. And as you're seeing, this bid, we're talking about bids now being adjusted and parameters of expectations being adjusted because of the obligations. People are beginning to wise up in these bids about what this looks like. You know, when you talked about people like Nick Candy, I'm not entirely sure they knew the construct of what a golden share actually meant by giving it to the fans and what the opportunity for the Chelsea pitch owners and their leverage ability about what you could do in a stadium actually means in the real world.
So you're talking about these restrictions that seemingly are coming in, Simon,
but they're not
might scare off one or maybe the second of the final 2 bidders.
But it's absurd. I mean, obviously what they're trying to do is find a way around a flip. If they think somehow people are going to pay $2.5 billion for a football club and flip it the next day because there's this desperate queue to pay $3 billion for it, I don't know. But the idea that they're trying to protect it, fine. But when you're trying to protect it against the sins of the past, Roman Abramovich was a bad owner, in my view, for football, but not a bad owner for Chelsea. He was a bad owner for football because he created hyperinflation, took away the organic growth of football and turned it into about people that could come into football, followed by Mansour, followed by the Newcastle guys that bring in money that grows football at a level that's not relational to its income.
Right, they then followed,
And they've then followed. But in this instance, we're now saying that we've got all of these opportunities to change the landscape, which is basically the golden share, the shadow board. Well, that's wonderful. Wonderful. The people that were sitting on shadow boards don't really have any financial involvement in the running of the football club or any financial jeopardy in this discussion. But if they're going to have golden shares, it's just madness. And if they're going to link, if this is indeed accurate information, it's not qualified by something, that you have to be, and it's the controlling influence they're talking about, not all shareholders, but if the controlling influence of the football club or any business cannot sell itself out for 10 years, well, it's a hell of an investment that you're taking. And then you suggest that it's up and that it's not loaded with debt because the argument has been put forward that Chelsea won't be loaded with debt. No, but the people that are putting the money in might be, and they'll find another way to service it through Chelsea's income. Yeah. Because anyone buying this football club, Jim, if we believe, because no one's asked this question, and I haven't heard them asking it, and I haven't heard the answer, stop all the claptrap back, it's a wonderful, iconic football club, representative around the world, right? Why do you want to buy this football club for £2.5 billion? What's in it for you? When you hear that answer and then you pair it back and say, well, by the way, you've got to give a golden share to the fans and where the club can play. You've got to be able to stay in the business for 10 years. You can't develop the stadium because the Chelsea pitch holders will have a problem with it. Then you start to think, well, hang on a second, how's that going to fit the agenda of someone buying a football club? Unless, of course, it's Mr. Marjoram's Emporium and they're just doing it for love.
Right, because you would say, Simon, if you're putting down as much as $2.5 billion for Chelsea, you would do with your new football club whatever you want.
Within reason, within the parameters of what's fit and appropriate for a cultural asset of English football club. Yeah, within reason.
You wouldn't lock yourself in for a minimum of 10 years, would you?
No, I wouldn't want to be dictated to.
No.
I wouldn't.
Can you be legally, though? Can they do what they like with the restrictions?
Well, it's an
Yeah, of course they
enticement
can.
for you to get the club, isn't
They're
it?
selling the club.
Yeah.
So the person that's selling the club is Roman Abramovich. The people that are sanctioning it are the government. If Roman Abramovich is part of his conditionality, and by the way, I hope it's not his, because you never know how these things go back round in a full circle, and somehow Roman Abramovich pops back out of the ether, fully legitimised in 2 years' time, and
Surely
might still
not.
be in.
Surely
I
not.
think that's a reach and a stretch.
Yeah.
But my point is where is this latest little thing? I want that. I do. Is a part of me. It's a nasty little gremlin-like part of me that wants all these conditions to be put on it, right? And then Chelsea fans, we want this, and we're not having this, and we're not doing that, and we want that. And all of a sudden, you price it out of a situation.
Nobody wants it.
And nobody wants it. Then what will you have? What you're bleeding well given.
Are they
That's what
close?
you'll have.
Are they close to that?
Well, I don't suppose they are at this moment in time, because no one's creaking, are
Sure,
they?
sure.
And no one's saying they're not going to do it.
You see, in amidst all this, so I mean, hopefully in the next few days, you would think certainly this week we'll be 3 down to 2, and then we'll know who's going to get it. But off the field, to be honest, if you're a Chelsea fan, Danny, you're looking from distance, thinking we're going to lose out here, because amidst all this confusion, because of the sanctions on Abramovich, this, it would appear, is one of the reasons, if not the reason, that key players are looking at the exit door, such as one of them being Antonio Rudiger, set to leave the club after turning down an offer worth reportedly 200 grand a week to stay at the football club. Now, interestingly, this was Tuchel on the soon-to-be outgoing Rudiger from Chelsea and the reasons for his departure.
We fought hard. I fought hard on a personal level, but we have this kind of connection since day one, and he was like, he deserves my full support because he delivered an incredible performance until today. It was so reliable, so it was a give and take, and I know that he is very well aware of it, and I'm just happy to be that I had the chance to coach him and the chance to have him in the team, because he was nothing else but brilliant until today. We had offers, we had big offers for him, and the club tried everything, but since some weeks we cannot fight anymore because we have the sanctions. We cannot adjust. We cannot continue. So it is what it is.
It is what it is. I mean, he's talking about Rudiger in the past sense. I mean, we understand this lunchtime, Real Madrid have now reached a verbal agreement with Rudiger and his people. There's a deal on the table. It's not signed yet, but it's about to be. So he's out of there, and Tuchel is saying the reason he's going, or the main reason that the thrust of this move is happening, is because of the sanctions of Abramovich.
It's easy to hide behind that. No, he's in his last year of contract. He decided he was going a long time ago.
Well, they haven't been able to renegotiate the contract.
But you'd renegotiate long before his last season if they wanted him that badly, or he wanted to stay. He'd have had it done.
Yeah, I mean, he was into his last year
for a reason.
And ultimately, he was into his last year not because of falling out with Frank Lampard. He was into his last year with his mate Tuchel. And if Tuchel wanted him, he could have perhaps done a deal with him last summer before all these restrictions come on.
It's too late now.
Have a look at these conditions. I mean, are you looking at some of the conditions they want?
Rudiger's people?
Yeah, 200 grand a week, right? Which, by the way, is outrageous amounts of money.
No, he's worthy of that compared to other centre-halves getting more than that.
Well, who?
Who's getting more than that? Diaz?
Well, they're better players.
I know, but I'm saying he's been as consistent.
He wants a £10 million sign-on. Are you reading this? He wants his ghastly, wretched agent wants 10 million quid.
But that's why
this is madness.
But that's just great. But
greed. It's absolute greed. He's going to Real Madrid because he's greedy.
Yeah.
End of discussion.
But that's why.
Good riddance.
That's why you get into good riddance. That's why you get into the end of your contract.
Yeah, so it's nothing to do with sanctions. It's nothing to do with the fact. I mean, let's be honest about it. Chelsea are no slobs in paying players. They never have been. In fact, they've caused as many problems in the marketplace.
Yeah, hang on a second. You always say to me, never deny anyone the right to make money.
I do, but at least be worthy of it. And what you're doing is capitalising in an opportunity, which is basically you're a free transfer. You've organised it.
He's been a mainstay for Chelsea.
He's worth 200 grand a week.
And Chelsea are begging him to sign a new deal, so they hold all the cards.
He's worth 200 grand a week in this ridiculous world of football. Correct. Because that's what people pay.
Yeah.
But on top of that, I mean, a renewal for an agent at 10 million quid. Ludicrous. I mean, really, the reasons why you're doing it is because you don't want to sign for Chelsea, and you're going to go and sign for someone else who's mucking up
because you can get a big signing on fee. So can your agent?
Because you're going to a move. It's all about free transfers. It's Chelsea's own fault.
Yeah.
But let's not spin the narrative that this is something Chelsea wanted to do, because if they wanted to do it that much, they should have done it last August.
What would you say to his agent?
What would I say to his agent? You know what I'd say to his agent.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, good luck to you. Something along those lines.
It's been happening for years. That players generally get.
Sanction them.
It's nothing new. I don't know why you're getting your knickers in a twist about
these agents.
But Simon,
control over these agents.
But when you look at it,
10 million quid for an agent.
You know what this needs? Independent regulation.
No, but independent regulation would have nothing to do with agents.
No, but when you
FIFA
look,
would do that.
But when you look at it, to buy Rudiger if he had 4 years left, it'd cost you what, 60, 80 million?
Yeah, no, that's what they're doing. They're taking the benefits.
He's let his
of the
contract run
contracts.
out.
Yeah. It's a cynical move.
If he gets 10 million and the agent gets 10, there's 20. And then his wages that they paid him anyway.
They've saved money.
They've saved 40 million quid.
They've saved money. The only difference is if you buy a player, you can capitalise on your balance sheet. But the bottom line is, in this instance, it's an opportunity orchestrated by the player and his agent. It's a cynical outcome of the Bosman transfer. It's what happens in football now, is that people can run the contract down. And the unfortunate thing about it is people get paid like this. There is no justification. People have told me for years, why don't you go into football agency? Because A, you can do deals, and B, you know the other side of the table. I'd feel like I need a domestos dip every day of the week. I couldn't go into that world of flesh trading. I couldn't go into that world of man bag carrying and lick spittle sycophantic nightclub booking for these players.
Yes.
I couldn't do it. But this instance where you get when an agent, this needs to be stopped.
But I tell you something,
this needs to be stopped.
Because none of the agent's 10 million goes back into the game. That's the problem.
They don't even pay a levy to be there. Everyone pays a levy to be in the game.
Incidentally, why did you have a man bag at the boxing on Saturday night?
It wasn't a man bag.
Yes, it
No,
was.
It wasn't a man bag.
Yeah.
But Christensen
My
will be the same.
lunchbox.
You had makeup in there.
It's not just about Rudiger.
Yeah.
I don't know Christensen, what he's going to do at the end of the season, but there's a reason he's let his contract run out.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's already primed to go somewhere, and him and his agent will be getting weighed in.
Yeah.
It's the way of the world, I'm afraid.
No, but
Until something changes.
You see, this is what happens.
Pay them yourselves then, you horrible footballers. Pay your agents yourselves.
After your little outburst there, I knew there'd be a pile on, and there is, because I'm getting messages from agents who are having a serious...
Well, hold on, Simon, okay.
Oh, laughing emojis. And then Simon Jordan, exclamation mark, exclamation mark.
Simon, just a quick
Who's
one.
that from
I'll
then?
maybe tell you in the break.
Just a quick one.
Was that a man bag?
I've got to ask you, Simon, if Rudiger got 20 million from Real
No,
Madrid...
it wasn't Sky Andrew.
Yeah.
Right? But we don't know about his agent. He
Wages
said
wise.
he'd done it himself, but then signing on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got his wages, 200 grand a week, and he's got 20 million instead of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And he gives his agent himself 10.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the difference?
Well, the difference is that you're making the same point cut in a different way. I wouldn't pay him £400,000 a week so he can kick his agent back. The object of if you pay someone £100,000 a week, £200,000 a week, it's not to pay them $220 so he can compensate his agent. Otherwise, you might as well just pay his agent. That's what they do. Well, tell you what, don't pay us then. You want to pay him £100 a week? Pay him £120.
But you wouldn't have that negotiation.
It's the same thing.
I'm Rudiger, you're Madrid, and I'm saying to you, I want this much money. You're still saving money because I'm on a free. Are you going to give it to me or not? I'll sort the agent. Don't worry about it.
In this instance, I would say you're not worth £400 a week. Give me a benchmark for who's getting £400 a week, and no one looks like you that's getting
well, okay, I
£400 a
won't be
week in
coming
terms
to you
of a
then.
player that's been at
I
a
won't
certain
be
stage in
coming
his
to you,
career.
Mr. Simon Jordan owns Madrid. See you later. I'm going somewhere else.
Off you go then.
There you
There's
go.
a price for everything.
But they don't do it because he said they're still saving money if they give him the 400.
That's not the point you're talking about, though. We're talking
You're
about the reality.
an agent there, incidentally.
Well, how could I impersonate an agent? If I was a personate agent, it'd be like,
If they're outgoing for
what's some
Rudiger,
more?
it's half the
We have
price.
to hit a break because the other side of the break's Danny's picks, and the way we're going, it'll be Danny's pick. You know what I mean?